Hello fellow painters, welcome back. Today I'm setting up my canvases. Not all of them, because I don't have the money to afford that. All of them at the same time. However, I have two canvases that I have right here that I'm about to staple together, or stretch in better terms. They are both the same size. They are both 116 times 81 centimeters. What I'm going to do is cut up the canvas and fit it well, make sure that it fits well around the stretcher bars, and that just making sure that it doesn't slant too much on either side or corner. It always happens where one side is shorter than the other, even though it's supposed to be the perfect size, so that's just me messing up, not realizing where the angles are. What I'm hoping to achieve is have a nice stretch. If there are ripples, I'm gonna have to redo it. I've asked the store multiple times how to stretch the canvas, and it is pretty simple. What they would tell me at the college and all those things, it would be to staple one side, then the opposite, then go to the lateral sides and staple each. So you're working in the opposites, and then you would do the same thing. As you keep working from side to side, you staple one or two, you go to the other side, one or two, go to the other side, one or two to the other side. And in the store, they told me you don't have to waste your time going around like that. Just make sure they're stapled at the center. Like that is the first step. However, they told me do 3 staples at the center from each one. And from there, you stretch. Well, you don't even have to stretch the first one, but let's say you stretch a bit, staple, stretch a bit, staple. And I told them, yes, I've tried this, you guys have told me, but the problem that I have is every time is that there's ripples around the center on one side, and they told me, right, so what you would need to do is place fake staples at the end so that the whole stretcher bar is covered with the canvas. So you just do a couple of fake staples at the end at the corner, and you continue stapling that side until you're done. You remove them and you should be good. So yes, so I'll be trying this method now and see how it works. Rightio, so let's get to it. I'm really far away right now. Okay, so what I'm doing right now is getting rid of some of the excess fabric that's on the sides. How they do it at the store, which I imagine is how they do it in many places. So if they have a 2-meter roll, you're gonna get those 2 meters. So you're gonna have excess fabric. You can either get a smaller canvas and do another stretch, and it doesn't have to be perfect because this is the back, unless they have to see the back for whatever reason. But in my case, they don't. Okay. So now I have it folded so that it becomes easy for me to see where it's going. So I'm gonna have this much excess, and once it stretches, it will be a little bit more. And after that, I can also cut it up again if I want to, or leave it as is. Like it can happen where it tears once it's too short because there's a lot more tension. And if you get out of control with it or pull too hard, there's gonna be tearing. Cool. I'm just gonna work on the one that I'm sitting on right now. And we're gonna test the method that I talked about earlier, where we start with the 3 staples on each side at the center, and we'll move our way around in opposite directions. And see if this method is better than the other one. Or at least their recommendation and advice is better than what I've been doing, which should be. And if it's not, then it's most likely user error. So, okay, so I'm gonna start on this long side first, see how that goes. And I'm gonna work my way to the other side, and then this side, and then that side. Or, I mean, I could choose either, but I want to do that one first. I don't know why. Let me quickly run down what we need. The cat tree. So aside from your fabric, your canvas, and the stretcher bars, you will need this thing, which I don't know the name of. And then you have the stapler. Obviously, a normal stapler is not going to cut it. You're going to break it. and I did in the past. Make sure that you are using the right staples. I'm just gonna point that out there just in case, because I also messed that one up in the past. The staples are written here, the size and the length and how deep it goes. I'm making sure that the sides, the angles are aligned as I drew them, so that there's no weird wonky stuff happening. I'm not gonna pull too much here. And they said 3. Wow. I'm not very good at straightening things, but that's okay. Okay, and now I'm gonna move on to the other side. This time, we are going to pull. And I'm going to do it by using, if you notice, there's a thinner area, and then there's a thick area. I'm going to use the thick area so that I can really get a nice stretch there. So I don't want to just pull, like I'm not just doing that. I am pulling and rounding it. I'm giving it an angle so that now I can place my finger down. And it seems pretty tight. I'm going to be doing the other sides now. I'm also going to give you some tips here. Even though I'm not the greatest at it, I'm really good at fucking up. Every time I mess up or don't do a proper staple, like here, you see the shadow, it's lifted a bit. I tend to either grab the hammer and just hammer it down, or just use, which you'll see on the texture, all those little dips are from me hammering. And then it affects the shape on the sides, but it's okay. You can also do it with the hammer. If it's too deep in or you mess up and it's like still a bit far out, you can try using these. Yeah, so this. And you can try to grab and pull, or you can use these. They're the ones that cut. But because they're sharper and they have that tip, you can grab them. You can grab it, cut, and pull, and you can use the aid of these to get the rest of it out. This is just what I resort to, all of these things, and it does take more time. It might be easier to actually invest in one of those actual stapler removers in the future. So now moving on to doing this side. I'm going to do the thing that they told me or advised me to do, which is put a fake stapler, a couple of staples here, and I'll be getting rid of them. Oh, sorry, it's not in the camera shot. So I put two staples down here to make sure that this is at least straight without the ripplage. And once I reach about a palm like that to do the corner, then I'll get rid of these and then do the corners at the very end when everything else is stapled in the same manner with the space. Because if you don't leave the space, you're not gonna be able to do the whole tuck and triangle thing, which, yeah. Those are just some random tips to help you if you decide to stretch them yourself. Also, I'm going to be using now the thin side, because this is the area where I didn't use any pulling of the canvas, so I just want to make sure that it's at least straight on this side, making sure it's well tucked rather than fully pulled. On the other side where I did the pulling, that one will have all through along the side, I'm going to be using the thicker side. Pull angle rather than just pulling. Angling itself like this is also good enough, because it does the pulling and the angling. If you disagree, tell me, and you have a better way, let me know. I'll be more than happy to learn further. I'm gonna try this method, just real quick. Yeah, I don't know, I don't like that. Better. I'll be able to show you now. There's a cut, I lift and I pull, that's one. And the small one over there, I'm going to grab these where I can just pull it out. It wouldn't be me if I wouldn't make mistakes constantly about this stuff, so you're here, I suppose, to learn with me on what to do, what not to do, most likely what not to do. Though the advice that they gave me is legit, that's what I'm trying to accomplish. That one might be a little too far. It's okay. If it turns out not okay, I'll know what I need to fix. Oh, actually, maybe he said not just this one, but I would need to do one here and one staple here. Okay, I think I might have figured out what he was talking about, so we'll see how the other sides go. That's about a palm, more or less. So depending on which side I decide to do the corner, I should be okay. So that's one side, I'm gonna move on to this side. So we see this ripplage, and it's going on until like the center part, until the first staple that I placed. From here, when I would pull, it would still create a dimple right under, and I'm trying to avoid that. What I'm going to do is follow his advice in a different way, I suppose. I'm going to pull this side, pull, pull. I'm just gonna make sure that it's flat across the border. So, fake staples, these are going to be the ones I end up removing, and I'm going to end up placing one here as well. Oh, Jesus. And now it's flatter for me to be able to continue doing the pulling without worrying about future ripples or foldage, whatever. I hope that makes sense, and I hope I can conclude the rest properly. Now let's do the corner. There's many ways to do corners, I suppose. I don't know what people tend to do, but this is one way, I suppose. Right? We still need to pull, but let's see. I think this is the corner I want to do. We can always do the opposite where we tuck it first. And this can go on top, but there's a bit of an excess, so I don't like that too much. I think I'll remove this. So what I'm doing now is taking the staples all the way up here, and here I'm going to staple them like this, horizontally, making sure that it's all the way up here. Can potentially make two, just making sure that it doesn't budge. We're still pulling, because now we have corner tension. Two is not necessary, but I guess it helps. Well, I guess I'll just, this is gonna be my corner. Oh, okay. Might be overkill, but I'm just making sure it doesn't budge. almost came out. Okay, that looks a lot better now. Cool. Let's turn it around. Oh, oops. No! From afar, I don't see any rippling. I'm gonna have to re-gesso because of the floor. Let's see, against here. No rippling of the canvas. Another corner. I think it looks okay. I'm just very satisfied there's no ripplage on in the middle, or the side for that matter. Yeah, so corners will happen a lot. Maybe that means it's too tight, right? Pulled too much, but just so it again, it'll be fine. I like that. I still have the second one to do. Well, I won't show you because I already did this one, that I can at least show you what my process is like. Okay, so that was honestly the best stretching I've ever done with the canvas. So I do believe their advice was very, very on point. It really helped me. It was like, they're professionals. That's what they do at the store. They're the guys that are stretching always the canvases for their clients. So finally, I can do this a little bit more confidently, and it's very smooth, it's very tight. I think it'll be fine once I start applying thicker layers of paint on top and it won't dip. When it does dip, I found that the varnish ends up tightening even more what it was. And I can also show that to you with the Uzumaki painting. Once it got varnished and dried, the retouch varnish dried, it really tightened it, and now there's, according to the guys that I also spoke to, permanent rippling, because that's the form that it had dried in. So at this point, don't varnish. Fix your rippling before painting, or if you're going to paint, at least dry to the touch, make sure that it's properly stretched, and if not, when it's fully dry without varnishing. And if not, always prevent what you can prevent. When I post this, I'm hoping that either the following week or the other, I'll be already painting on these surfaces. Oh my God. Yes, baby, I'm coming. If you have any questions, I'll try my best to answer them. Let me know if this video was useful. And as always, thank you so much for watching if you've reached this point. And subscribe for more content in the process of this whole series, and I'll see you in the next one. Happy painting!